Fi here. Just going to be solo today because Sheets is out. Going to talk through what I like on this 11 gamer. It's 11 gamer, but they didn't give us like the big giant tournaments like they usually do. So not a plan of dime myself, but I am I'm in there and I'll tell you what I'm doing. But I think there's a lot of viable stacks today, and you can see because of the lack of pitching to feel incredible about that's clearly the case. So let's talk about pitching to start off with. Excuse me. This morning was better, but the COVID comes back at you, man. It just keeps coming. It's just driving me freaking nuts. Ready to live my life again. All right. So anyway, pitching wise, I have about 80% of Robbie Ray. I'm higher on Robbie Ray than anybody else. I don't feel great about any of the pitching. I think his upside is highest. Of course, there's some risk with the matchup, but I probably am going to end up about 70%. But either way, right now he'll be my highest owned pitcher. David Peterson will be my second highest owned. And again, this is just tells you the nature of the slate. These guys are not any sort of locks by any means. It's a dangerous pitching slate, in my opinion. So I am going to be playing those two heavily. Next, I would have Brian Wu. Next, I have, after that, Ronel Blanco, then Cabrera, then Warren. And that's pretty much what I'm doing pitching-wise. Oh, I do have a couple of Barrios lineups, excuse me. I think you can make a case and for Phillips, and I can't do the Alex Cobb thing, but Grant Holmes, I get to be talked into. I think Tyler Anderson, you could talk yourself into. Kyle Gibson, you could certainly talk yourself into, but I'm not. I am going the other way with that stuff and getting into stacks and what I like. So the Yankees are clearly projected to be so much more owned than everybody else. Let me bring in Goldie's ownership. I think he might have just updated his actually. So you see Goldie's got it a little bit lower, but still crazy high ownership on the Yankees. Otani as a one-off is going to be popular, but I'll be over the field on that anyway. You got the Yankees as the chalk. You've got St. Louis getting some love. And then I really don't think you need to worry too much about it otherwise. I am not buying that Baltimore ends up this low owned. You have the top of the order with the 2,200 Slater. I understand there's pinch hit risk and likelihood even for both he and Kobe Mayo. I am playing those two players the most. I have Baltimore in stacks. I have Baltimore as complementary pieces. There's no player Baltimore is playing that I don't have in my lineups today. Baltimore and the Dodgers are what I'm doing, and that's just that. That's what I'm going to be focused on. I feel like they're getting, for some reason, a little bit overlooked. Of course, I felt that way before, and it hasn't worked out to my favor the last few times I played Baltimore. Either way, this is one of the elite offenses in baseball. I think we take advantage of it and we get them at low ownership. That is my favorite stack is the Dodgers as a full stack. Baltimore is my favorite where I like all the pieces because you got the 2,200 and the 2,400 for Mayo and Slater. At some point, Mayo is going to start getting it going. This guy's a super talent. He just hasn't figured it out yet, but he's going to. The Dodgers are the next team I'm looking at. We don't have their lineup yet. We should be getting it in any moment. Let me just double check, see if it didn't come in right as we got on air, as it always seems to do. No, I don't have a Dodger lineup yet. Anyway, so you can see Otani's getting love because the guy's just the best of all time, but nobody else really getting that much ownership. So I'm very happy to focus my energy on this Dodger lineup, especially as they get healthier. Curious to see how it shakes out today. It's somewhat getaway day. You might get no Will Smith, which is going to have to force me to change a lot of lineups. I've got Will Smith in about half my lineups right now. He seems to find a swing back last night, and the guy's a streaky hitter, and when he gets going, he really gets going. So really like the Dodgers. The only thing is, like with Mookie, I love Mookie. I've got him at 30%, but I would have even more because I got about 50% Dodger stacks. The only thing is you got Gunnar Henderson and Ellie De La Cruz, who are both phenomenal plays. Now, the third team I'm looking towards is Cincinnati. Those are going to be where pretty much all my ownership goes to. And I love that I'm not getting too much ownership on them. I do have some Judge Soto one-offs. I actually have Judge and Soto and Otani in a lineup together in a stack with Cincinnati, just to get a little bit weird with it. And that's what I wanted to do today. So I'm very happy to get off the Yankees chalk. Look, they're probably going to go nuts tonight. They've let down a little bit as a whole, although Juan Soto was a must-have obviously yesterday. They've let down as a whole over the last couple of games. You'd think they'd break out at one point. It's not like great hitting weather in Chicago. And I'm just sort of hoping that they stay, subdued enough one more time, and I can get the Dodgers and Baltimore guys to outscore them. But the Yankees are the most logical. If you're playing single entry, if you're playing I don't know. I guess even 3 max, I would probably be looking at them a little bit more. But I am definitely trying to get off of that mega chalk that we see with the Yankees and really with nobody else that we overly have to worry about it in terms of ownership. If I had to pick other ones that I would go to, and I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say, so drop in questions or thoughts I would get to Philadelphia as probably my next favorite stack. Now, I like some Cabrera, don't get me wrong, but you're talking about low ownership. Philadelphia is the lead at home. They haven't been as good since the All-Star break. I'm not worried about it. I do like the Philadelphia low ownership. And if I had to pick another one, it would be the Mets. So I actually have some Mets in my stacks, not necessarily full stacks, but a 3-man. I have a 4-man and a 4-4. So that's sort of what I'm doing today. Javier Baez was just scratched for what it's worth. It doesn't really affect me any, but that's what I'm doing. So I'm avoiding mostly St. Louis because they basically let me down every time, and they are getting some ownership. It's low enough to where I think you could play them, but I just personally would rather play Cincinnati on the other side at lower ownership and trying to win big tournaments. So large field tournaments, you're gonna have to get off the board no matter what you do. All right, moving on over. Okay, let's take a quick look and see. We're gonna do a build. So the first person, say in there what you want me to do a build for, and we'll do a SaberSim build. And let's see who gets it. Do you want to do the bat flip? Do you want to do, what is it, the $4 today? $3, whatever. Just name what it is, and I will go ahead and run a build for you guys. You guys want to run a single entry build? Happy to do that as well. But reminder: the slate starts at 6:30 Eastern time, so don't miss out on that. And yeah, hoping to have another good night and maybe finish the job a little bit tonight. I had a great start last night, and I made the mistake of posting it in the Discord. And of course, after that, I don't think I got another hit. So, we've got it, and I've got D-Man in chat. I don't know if people notice when I say I'm on air, it's really hard to answer. Lotto, okay, MJ is asking for the Lotto. We're going to go to MJ for the Lotto in just a second. All right, so let's do the lottery. All right, we are going to do. Let's build 150 just to get it. I'm going to still do it with the large size since we're doing 150. This salary, I don't know why it's got it so tight there. I would go a little bit wider. If I'm playing it, I have no interest in, I have no care about leaving it on the table. I'm going to drop the correlation down just to 9. It's still very high. I don't think it's quite, it doesn't have to be a 10. It's a negligible difference, but I like to make little changes that other people maybe won't make when I'm going to be scripting, just to get you a little bit off the board. Sheets does it with his projection, so it's always going to be a little bit unique that way. But this is something that I just thought was kind of interesting to try and take a shot at. So let's take a shot here. We're gonna pick the contest. We're going to go to it really quick. Let's see. We need the 50K for first, and it is called the bat flip today. All right. Wish it was easier to find. Feels like it should be done in order of size of tournament, but they don't do that for some reason. And I'm sure that they'll get something like that. It feels like it should be like payouts or something. There should be a consistent trend that I may be missing. Maybe there is one that I just don't see. All right, let's take a look. Sorry about this. Here we go, bat flip. All right. So let's see, and we put no percentages on anybody. We're gonna change a thing or two, and let's do this, and let's see what we get. We'll just change a tiny bit. We'll go Robbie Ray at 16.75 is pretty low. Let's just make it 17. He's probably going to be a little more popular because of that, but we're going to make 17 for Peterson also. And I think they're both going to be very popular because of that. You know what, just while we're at it, while we're within fractions of points, we'll just make Blanco's the same as well. I do think Blanco has got a tremendous upside, but he's been really bad. If this was a smaller slate, I'd be talking about stacking Tampa Bay, by the way, just because of what we've seen from Blanco lately. So let's see what we get. And then let's fiddle around with it, and I'll talk about sort of the ways that I would use it. You guys are going to do it differently than I would. I'm not going to go sorting through everything. I'm going to say the way that I would want to get it right, and I would probably, make sure I had 25% Dodgers, make sure I had at least 25% Orioles, and I probably would go away from the entire 5-man stacks because we keep seeing it, like whether it's Soto one night, Ohtani one night, Mookie one night, whatever. These guys putting up these massive numbers just in good spots. I think we want to just keep riding them, especially because you could totally afford them today. It's really easy to basically afford whatever you want. You don't really need to worry about anything else. I think it's just really, really easy to do that. And I by the way, agree with with this that Robbie Ray is going to end up more on than Peterson. I agree with Goldie over SaberSim right now, but SaberSim might still update a little bit later, so we'll have to keep an eye out for that. Let's see what they give us, and we'll go through what MJ. I already said what I like, so hopefully you heard that, because MJ usually pops in and just gets a thought on asking me what I like today. So they're giving you a lot of pitchers. Wow. This is what I mean. There's nobody. They don't even feel good about the pitching. Well, they got Cabrera at 50% almost. That's a lot. I would feel a little nervous about that against the Phillies. I also think that at that price, it makes perfect sense. It's fine. I just don't think I'd go that high. I'd probably want him to be. So I'd probably cap him at 30. I probably would be okay with what I got from the other guys after that. So let's just say we did that. Well, before we do that, we'll go to the stacks. You see Alex Cobb, Brian Wu only getting 6%. Am I missing something here? Why is Brian Wu against Detroit even projected to be as low owned as he is? This one I agree with more with SaberSim than I do with Goldie's projections, but we'll see. And it's going to be different for different tournaments, but this is for the lottery, so we're assuming that this is going to be fairly accurate. So that's what you're getting. So let's see what we get hitting wise. Let's go to team stacks and see what we're getting. Lineup exposure. All right. So we've got Toronto as number 1, Dodgers at number 2, followed by Yankees, Miami, Houston, Cleveland. They're not getting to any Baltimore here. So I like the Baltimore thing. If you want to trust the Sims, go ahead and fade Baltimore. I am personally going to just ignore that and play the Baltimore side of things pretty heavily personally. Let's look at the 5-man stacks. So Toronto and the Dodgers mostly is the 5-man stacks. Yankees, going to be hard to win with that. But if you're entering 150, you do have a chance. It's just really hard when you're only entering limited lineups to try to get away with entering, try to get away with something like this. But we'll see. All right. So 5-man stacks. Let's just see the stack exposure. Let's see what we've got. 5-3, 50%, 5-2, 30. So they're going very heavy on the 5s. It makes sense. 11-game slate, sort of what SaberSim would do. But I would like to do something else here. So I would say, let me just do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's go back to the pitchers. And this is personally what I would do today, just to get some different types of exposures, different builds. Let's see, Cabrera. We're going to say max exposure. Let's put him at 30%. That's what I said. Let's say 33, whatever. Let's just see what that does for us if we do that. All right, so pitching, that'll give us now exposure-wise. It's still the same thing. They just spread out the other guys a little bit more. Man, they're really spreading out a lot more pitching than they usually do today. So that's interesting. Peterson, obviously a good play, but obviously it comes with a risk every time he pitches. Everybody on this slate is a massive high-risk pitcher, especially the form they're in lately. If you wanted to make the case for someone being safer, I think Brian Wu would be one of those guys. And oddly, he's the one who's showing up the least. So let's just say these were going to be my lineups. I would go ahead and I would say, okay, well, I don't want that. I want a little bit more of Brian Wu because I see how he's being treated. So let's say we want 25% of him, and we will apply that and see how that does things for us. So then Wu would move up. They're not really changing anything else no matter what we do. It's still going to be, yeah, there we go. So it's still, just spread out a little bit more. Okay, let's go over and let's look at our stacks. Let's see what it did for our stacks. Stack exposure. Okay, so now we do have some 4-4. They did listen to me. They gave me what I asked for. And then let's see the team stacks. Let's see what we've changed with that. So we're at Toronto at 38. And then this is where I'm going to start using the min uniques. I think this is interesting. Let's just see what it does with the stacks. If we go to, you get Toronto. It's pretty similar. And it's a little spread out for what they usually go for. Even with the one min unique, they really like the Toronto side of things. I certainly wouldn't argue that that's a mistake. I totally understand it. I just personally didn't get there myself, and that's not what. So let's just say we wanted to force in some Baltimore. Okay, so I like this min uniques thing. Let's say we wanted stacks, and we want. For me, I would say I would want minimum of 20% Baltimore. We already are getting some Dodgers. Let's see what else we get. Let's apply that. And then we get Baltimore at, there we go, lineup exposure. There's the pool exposure, very small. MJ, I don't that much. It's different playing. Okay, so there's different styles of people with these mass building. If I didn't know a sport, I would get much more into it. Like I actually want to spend some time with League of Legends, NASCAR, and then sort of have Brandon and Sheets walk me through how to build on there, because I have enough knowledge on basketball, baseball, football, and golf where I don't really feel like I want to impose my opinion. Sheets specifically often does not want to impose his opinion. In fact, now he's going through a trend where he really doesn't want to impose his opinion. He wants to use his projections, rely on the part that makes him better. Makes a lot of sense. For me, my edge has always been that I'm good at spotting certain things and certain trends. It hasn't worked as well over the past year for other than football and golf, but over the past 10 years, that's been my style. So I would like to try to play with the aggregate metrics a little bit. I just don't understand all of it well enough. And I'm watching Sheets' videos and trying to learn, because it's a different style of building than what I'm used to. I can hand build 150 golf lineups, no problem, and try to differentiate or whatever. Or I could use the script and get what I generally do for golf is I use this. I'll script it, and then I'll script 75, and then I'll make different decisions based on those 75 they give me, and then I'll double them up and whittle them down. Not saying it's perfect, just what I like to do. There's many ways to skin a cat, as you guys know. So this would be something I'd be very comfortable with. The only thing for me is I'm not quite as high on Toronto tonight as everybody as the SaberSim is. But I totally get it. I think it's a good spot. I think it's a logical thing. And I would feel very comfortable getting this, because you see, I'm not going to be over on the Yankees. I think what I would do though is I might X the Yankees out of 5-man stacks. I guess if I was playing 150, I wouldn't. But if I was playing 30, I would probably X them out as 5-man stacks and then ask for them a bunch in my 4-4s or as my 3-man. If that makes any sense for you. So this is sort of what SaberSim's trying to give you today. As Sheets would say, it's in a mood, but it's really not in a mood today. It's giving me, I said what I wanted, it gave it to me. And I would feel very comfortable rolling with this based on my research today, because I did put, I don't know why Cleveland has 12-min exposure there. I never entered that. Let's just make sure that didn't affect anything. I don't want Cleveland really. Okay, there we go. So yeah, now you're getting just a little bit more balanced out. I just don't want, and I don't want the Yankees as full stacks. It's just really hard to win that way. So I'm just curious, in the Yankee full stacks that they give us, let's see some of the 3-mans we've got. 3-mans. Wow, it's really spread out with the 3-mans. Nothing big there. The Yankees, they're lower on that one. 2-man. Nobody. Because they're not that many 5-2s. So let's see the 4 stacks. Yeah, Mets, Baltimore. I would want the Yankees here. So let's just play around with it for a second. Let's actually go a little higher. 4-man level. We'll go 1-5. I think the Yankees make great plays. Don't get me wrong. I just don't want to eat into that kind of chalk when I feel there's that many good spots on the slate. Excuse me. Excuse the COVID. All right, so we'll go 15 there, and then we'll go Yankees. We'll go max 5% in the 5-man. Let's see what we get here. All right, so now as 5-man, let's go as all stacks go. Yankees are getting, see, look, now we've got the Yankees a bunch, but they're 4-man, and they're 3-man, and they're 2-man. So that's we don't have as much of the Yankees 5-man. So that feels a little more stomachable to me when a stack's going to be that kind of that kind of crazy ownership. In a non-great hitting weather game, it is a great matchup. We all know it. They've had a great matchup the last 2 days. Haven't done much with it outside of Juan Soto. But that's just my take. Now, you don't have to do any of these things, but I think this is a reasonable build that I would feel pretty comfortable rolling out. Just want to make sure the pitching stays right. I would be lower on Cabrera. I said that I want more Robbie Ray than this. Let's say I wanted 40, because I do feel like I like the play better than I do anybody else. I'm sorry, just like by a good amount. So Robbie Ray, the Brian Wu is to just make sure we force him in there at 25%. And then you see our exposure. Let's grab our exposure real quick. Our exposure. So this feels more tolerable to me, although I would like to maybe let's just say maybe I'd go 40%, for Peterson. I'm not as interested in the also rans. I probably would want to get, because of the low ownership, a little bit more of the Barrios, because I think that there's no reason why he should be so much separated. In fact, if you play him, you can play him with Ray, because I'm not saying he's going to outscore Ray all that often, but I do think that there's more upside than is being accounted for. So then we get Barrios in there a little bit. And now we're looking at lineups that I feel pretty comfortable with, and we're just going to go to stacks, the type of stacks. So we've got 43% 3-5-3s, 24% 4-5-2s, 12% 4-3s, 12% 4-4s. Feels totally fine to me. I might even mess around and go for a 4-2-2 with, add 5% to that just to get a little bit different again. But again, I like to do it, and I'm not usually playing the max number of entries. Yeah, no, I hear you. It's a new game, MJ. But you know what's good about the new game is you can still put your opinion in and be a winner. I have many friends who don't use the simulations at all. Only as reference points do they use them, who are making, and I'm not exaggerating when I say they have profited millions and millions of dollars over this last calendar year. Historically, I've been one of those guys. This has not been my year. We know that. It's been my year. It's been good in golf. It's been good in I guess what's funny. Let's run a little golf sim. See what the golf likes to give us. Do you guys want to see a golf sim? Let's do it. It does feel like the Matrix. It is a whole new game, but I really want to use that point, MJ, and say we have like the guy who's better at it. It has a unique style. I don't know if it's better at it. It's a unique way of doing it that Sheets does, and it has always worked for him. He is a winning player consistently, and he's changed his style, but he's done a million videos on these different ways he uses the sims, different ways he uses the projections and everything. And I would really encourage people to check out what he's doing almost daily, especially if for new users, daily. For an expert pro, I still think there's something to gain from it. I think he's really onto something. So we're going to do a golf thing just for fun. I did my build earlier. I showed my lineups. I showed my exposures. I ended up editing some things and whittling and all that stuff. All right, let's get to let's see what it gives us. But let's clear all the exposures because I want to reset all player exposures. Okay. And then let's just change. We're going to have to change one thing, I believe. Yeah. So let me change two things, I guess. Let's just do this. 5. We're going to get more than that, but that's enough for us to at least build the lineups. And let's start with 1. Okay. Just because I'm not going to do another thing about golf, but I want to show a little bit of just see what SaberSim likes this week. So yeah, it's as to MJ's point, it's a fine line of trying to impart your own wisdom and your own thoughts while you're trying to learn this other world for a lot of people. It's a world that scripting was very different when I first was doing it. I want 10% of that guy. I want 5% of that guy. Even now, I'm usually letting SaberSim run the build first, and then I'm going to go back and whittle and change the exposures that I want, especially in something like golf. So let's see what they give us for golf. We're going to see, 80% Scotty. Okay. I understand it. Can't argue that it's the wrong idea. 40% Seamus Power. They really love the Seamus Power play. I have some, don't get me wrong, 30% of the Gracerman. Those are the names Sheets was mentioning earlier. Keegan Bradley. I like the Cam Davis idea. This is very different than my builds, but again, don't really have an issue with it except for let's try some min uniques and see if we can get different. Get Scheffler. I don't know that I want 80% of one golfer. It's just when you're playing 150, it just doesn't feel like it's all together right. But maybe when you get 4 rounds, no matter what and everything. So yeah, this feels a little more stomachable to me. I probably would like to get a little bit more exposure to some of these other guys. Justin Thomas really popping for them, huh? Wow. Scheffler. Yeah, Scheffler, Morikawa. I would have no issue with this. It's just a little different than what I did myself. If you are a member, I did post my exposures. It's been, again, one of the sports that I've done well with this year so far has been golf, and we're running towards the end. Having had that giant win, had a couple of 25Ks, a couple of 30Ks here and there, playing usually, 500 to, I don't know, maximum, I think like 4,000 or 5,000 a week. And it's mostly been pretty good to me, but haven't had that huge hit. Almost got it at the Waste Management, which I was at, but just had a little fall off at the end from, I believe it was Sam Burns. And I would have taken down the 200K. I think I needed like 2 more birdies out of him or something like that, or 2 less bogeys. His position, I think he would have finished. I don't remember where he finished. I think he finished 7th or 8th instead of 2nd or 3rd. All right. I don't have a whole lot more to go through. I wanted to go through the baseball. I just wanted to show you guys a little bit of the golf. For what it's worth, my highest owned golfers, I'm not going to give away everything that we do for pay, but it's not like it's not been my best year overall. So I will say golf wise, I have Morikawa, Rory, and Fleetwood as my highest owned, followed by Cantlay, Scheffler, Homa, and Eric Cole. Homa and Cole are both going to be low owned. That's one of my differentiators. Mackenzie Hughes is another differentiator for me. Taylor Moore, another big differentiator for me. yeah, so that's pretty much where I'm at. I'm actually going to make sure I get a little bit more Taylor Moore. So maybe make a note here because I would like to have more in my build. So let's make sure I want to make sure I have at least 15% of them. And it's sort of my pet play. It's sort of my thing. I did the same thing with Sam Burns when he first came on the scene, and it's been longer for Taylor Moore, but I still believe in that dude's talented. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here, guys, and try and tend to my sinuses. I wish everybody great luck. We'll be with you tomorrow. If there's any questions or anything, hit me up in Discord. Make sure to tag me so I see it. Tag Rody for any of his stuff. Tag, obviously any site issues, any projection stuff. That's Goldie. And I really would encourage people to check out the Ultimate 3-day trial. It gives you everything that Sabersim has to offer, and you can try to mess around with all that stuff. But I would encourage you, while you're doing it, just listen to Sheets' video, watch his video while you're playing around with it. I think it's a really, really helpful tool. It's obviously helping Sheets. The guy wins basically like 25K a day, so can't be wrong. It's just a lot of different ways to do things. Anyway, appreciate you all. Go Team TrueDFS this weekend in golf. Go Team TrueDFS tonight in MLB.